Okay, so this is a Platinum Hanzo review. We're going to take a quick look at this one. This is from Sundrops. You guys might remember Sundrops from the live Diva coaching that a lot of people were really enjoying. So we're going to take a look at this. Sundrops is kind of focusing on another role, going to be working on this, and we're going to take a look really fast. So a couple things with Hanzo is such an unusual hero in the fact that I think that he really is one of the best 1v1 heroes in the game. The thing where Hanzo can struggle with a little bit is applying consistent pressure, getting value out of your ultimate. And I think that, like, you can definitely say that, like, maybe at the higher tiers that he's a little bit skillless at a certain level in time in terms of getting value and winning a 1v1. But, like, as you get better at the hero, like, it does demand some skill. Like, you have to hit your shots. Like, for example, Symmetra will crush a Hanzo in a 1v1 if the Hanzo doesn't hit his shots. Same thing goes with Genji, same thing goes with Soldier, same thing goes with Cassidy. Like, really every hero can beat a Hanzo if he doesn't hit his shot. So it's about being able to find ways to mechanically perform while still getting neutral value out of the hero. So let's take a look here. So first things first, as Hanzo is like understanding that you are a long range hero most of the time. And most of the matchups you're going to be playing more to your sniper strengths. However, you're flexible enough with your lunge. You're flexible enough with things like Storm Arrow, thank you, and your verticality with your wall climb, so that you are fairly flexible with your positioning. Like, Widowmaker very rarely gets up close and personal. Hanzo, it really depends. If you got Sonic advantage, if you have Storm Arrow, if you have your lunge, there's a lot of circumstances which even against a hero like a Reaper, you can quickly close the distance and find an opportunity to get a pick. So nothing really crazy here. Just Sonic on spawn, Storm Arrowing, just kind of fishing for ult charge. I wouldn't be mad if you Storm Arrowed this just for scouting information. Let me make sure my volume is good. A second time, like just throwing it at the floor here. I would be very careful about overstaying my welcome here. Like right there, that transition is way too late. So that transition needed to happen earlier. It's not something that you're going to get punished with a lot in lower ranks, but it's going to happen enough to where I don't think it's a good play. And I would also be really prioritizing Symmetra here. She's the person that's right next to you, right? So clear her out before you even take a look here. And that ends up your team makes that mistake and it kind of screws you guys over. Now Hanzo's kind of an interesting one because he's one of those DPS heroes that I was picking up on the side for a period of time a few months ago when I was just like, I want to see how this hero feels in Overwatch 2. This was before he got beta. This was probably about 6, 7, 8 months ago. And the thing that I learned with Hanzo, and a lot of you Hanzo players out there, low to mid ranks, you need to be comfortable with him mechanically. As I was saying earlier, you need to hit your shots. And I'm not saying headshots, but you need to be comfortable hitting your body shots, any sort of shots in close range. The first thing that I did to improve my Hanzo play was just hit my shots. You hit a shot, you didn't. I don't think there was anything necessarily wrong with what you did. You did Sonic him. The problem was then that you ended up kind of Sonicking him, seeing him duck away. Maybe spent a little bit too long on the Ramatra. He hit a shot. You were too slow to hit your shot. That's it. Go next. Sometimes it's really just that simple with this hero. Okay, let's see what we got. So far, our Sonics have been pretty useful. This Sonic on this choke here is fairly useful. I think if I want to nitpick this one, maybe in a higher level, I think Sonicking this corner is more useful so that you can also get information on what we call security as well. So people going through that flank. This high ground position is fine. Yeah, so this is what we want to change here. So this fight is basically lost at this point in time, so you all need to be thinking about your next angle. And that angle will either be angling from here as quickly as you can, or probably at this point, it's probably too late to go there, kiting back and looking to re-engage with Dragon. This Dragon is really silly. You cannot Dragon like this. A better team will just immediately kill you. Like, this is beyond hubris. This is just the enemy team can't hit a shot. You were standing perfectly still. The Hanzo ends up missing almost all of his shots in you, and you end up hitting a nice shot. So congratulations, I guess. That was not an intelligent decision at all. This was good. Clutch it out. Love to see it. But you had no business doing that. So the big thing so far I'm seeing so far is that you're just a little bit disrespectful and sloppy with your use of cover. And just your general positioning in terms of not even like the angles that you're holding. It's just your positioning is just kind of assuming the enemy team isn't going to do anything. Now let's take a look at your crosshair placement here, and this so far has been pretty good, but let's actually look at this arrow in slow motion to make sure that it's pretty good. And this is something that you might want to be doing a little bit more often. So you have to look at this right here and be like, all right, that arrow misses. Why? Was that a bad shot, or were they crouched? And from my impression, it looks like they're crouched. You kind of see what I'm saying? So what you want to look here is you want to, whenever you see situations like these at this range, and you're like, oh, I'm not hitting the shots, take a second to kind of look at it in the replay viewer. This is one of the advantages of the replay viewer, and be like, were they crouched? Would that arrow have hit if they were standing at full height? You see that? Maybe just a teeny bit too high with your crosshair placement. Just a teeny bit too high. So that's something you can kind of be going back in your VODs and checking, like, because the thing with Hanzo is like you need to develop, I hate using this term because it's not technically accurate, but you need to develop a little bit of muscle memory about where I need to put my crosshair at different distances. So the distance that you're going right now, maybe a teeny bit too high. I think you could get away with aiming it a little bit lower and be able to still get that headshot. Sonic is fine. You need to make a really quick decision about where you position here. I wouldn't be standing. Yeah, see, I was gonna say this is the kind of thing that we're seeing with your Hanzo, right? It's just it's a lack of respect for who you're playing versus. So right now, there's no reason for you to move any further than where you're at right now. You can very easily hit shots from exactly where you're at right now. Going from here to here, there's no benefit whatsoever. No benefit whatsoever. In addition with that, see your crosshair placement initially starts at like their leg height and then slowly goes to their head. And even this here feels a little bit low. So crosshair placement is a minor detail. Major detail here is you're just standing out in the open in front of a Batiste with a window. This is just disrespect. So basically a lot of our deaths have just been from a lack of respect. And a couple of things that should have been deaths that weren't. Cover, 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 cover. Maximize your uptime. Another bad habit. I see this all the time. I even see this in Overwatch League. I would not immediately induct my Sonic arrow as I'm coming on a corner unless I'm sure that I'm going to get value from it immediately. Instead, induct a shot just as you normally would. Take your shot, and then from the battlefield, from what you see, the irony here is a lot of the time with Hanzo, you want to use your Sonic arrow after you've scouted. All right, hear me out. If you have an idea of where the battlefield is happening and where people are setting up, you will be able to predict where the information needs to come from. So for example, if I peek this here, I'm like, all right, I see Batiste, I see Sombra. What's happening on the choke here? Is there anybody coming out this main? Is there anybody peeking here? That immediately, that's my first response. So that's where my Sonic goes, right? You could also throw a Sonic up here to help you line up shots in the BAP. That works as well. But again, you wouldn't know that until you peek this corner and saw BAP. So there's no real like serious urgency to get your Sonic arrow out immediately. It's better to look at what's given to you, go, I don't see that, so therefore I'm going to see that. Let's put it this way. It'd be like if you were to like, if you were to try and like, let's put it this way. If you could have the cure to any disease right now, what would you cure? Would you cure lung cancer? Would you cure, a broken leg? Would you cure, would you cure Alzheimer's? Like for yourself. And you're like, well, I don't know. I don't know what's going to be my problem as I get older. Maybe I get in a car accident and my leg breaks or my rib cage collapses or whatever, right? Kind of a morbid analogy here, but you don't know. So why are you trying to solve where you're going to be using it before you even know? Wait until see what happens and then pick and choose what medicine you need. So you see this right here. What medicine do you need? What scouting, what information do you need? And you sure as heck don't need a Sonic arrow on point. And the problem is you're like, well, you can always just cancel it. Yes, but that's another button input. You might as well just go ahead and channel the arrow here and let it go right now, not having to worry about pressing shift again with your pinky or whatever it is for console. Just shoot the arrow, and then you can go, oh, there's Sonic here, and then throw it here. You don't need a fully inducted shot for your Sonic. Classic Hanzo. Whiff, 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 storm. If I could say a minor detail, when people are moving in predictable patterns, there's really no reason to flick. It's only when they're moving unpredictably that it's good to flick. So watch this here. You see that little flick, you go to the right. Maybe a habit to look at. And again here, you see that little micro flick again. If she is moving in a very predictable pattern or she doesn't know you're there, just watch her movement pattern, launch the arrow. Little detail to kind of keep an eye on. Again, cover. Why? Why did you die to that? Why would you be here? What advantage do you get from being here that you don't get from being here? Something to kind of keep an eye on. Again, do not induct this. Ah, you see, you're inducting the Sonic arrow, right? Because here it comes, right? Why? Why would you Sonic this on here? You don't need information on it. You know what you do need information on? A Sonic right here to make sure this Sombra's not coming out this way, or a Sonic here to see if that Sombra's going to come up on your backline, or again, a Sonic on main to see if anybody's coming back from spawn, right? In your urgency to get your Sonic out, you're significantly reducing the impact of said Sonic. Crosshair placement, definitely a little bit low. This is where something will come with experience, but knowing where the enemy team is coming from, this crosshair placement only makes sense if they're walking out point blank on the wall. Most people will be walking out here, so therefore your crosshair should be slightly higher. Fine. Good clear. Sonic. Oh no, you have Sonic here. You have Sonic. You have information, right? You could see that you guys are pushing up a little bit further forward. You could go deeper. In addition to that, once you clear Sombra out, this is not really where you want to be. You've got options here, right? You either take the longer angle on this high ground over here, or you take the more aggressive angle on this high ground over here. What do? You do neither. You miss your dragon, you get EMP'd, and you get basically point blank range in the tank. So positioning is a major problem with you, as is your dragon crosshair placement and your Sonic usage to a lesser extent. You're using your Sonic, but it's like these come back from spawn Sonics that are really ugly. And then again here, like I know you're thinking about touch, I gotta touch. You know, maybe I'll cut you some slack, but whatever. Okay, other ones. Let's keep going. Okay, well, you're doing something. Here's the Sonic habit again. Do you see this? Always pre-fired Sonic. Given what you see now, you don't really need Sonic. If anything, you would Sonic on this corner here once to see if they start pushing to discourage them from continuing to push, or maybe punishing them for overextending. You see where your Sonic is? Your Sonic is here. Given the fact that they're pushing, you'd love for it to be like here, right? Or maybe even Sonicking high ground to see if they go high ground. Case in point, right? Sonic is fine. Now use the information that you have to take the angle. Good. I wouldn't pre-Storm Arrow here. Probably not necessary. And I definitely wouldn't drop. If you're gonna drop, you need to immediately. Okay, so like I understand that like dropping here maybe makes the shot a little bit easier, but it significantly increases your risk of death. So if you do drop, you need to have the wherewithal to immediately wall climb back out again. Instead, you're like, I'm fine. Your Zen has to transsuit, and you might still die. Yeah, you see that? That's a consistent issue for you. Okay. There's our pre-Sonic again. You see that? This provides you no information that you would have had just from walking out of the door. So you know what you do? You don't Sonic. You walk out, you hear, then maybe you shoot here. Then you can Sonic the floor here and go like, hey, if this Sombra pushes me, I'm going to log her in the head. I think this fight's pretty much lost regardless. Again, Sonic doesn't provide you any information that you couldn't already see from your screen. I actually think in a lot of these circumstances, there's a good argument that you shouldn't be using Sonic at all. If you don't see an opportunity because there's nothing that you can't see that's already on your screen, and there's no real shots to line up, again here, right? Like imagine if instead of just Sonicking cart here, right, that you either Sonic this right door or this left door, or maybe actually left door is not doesn't make any sense, and then had your dragon set up through a little bit of Sonic. Could have led that dragon a lot better. Crosshair placement was a little bit low there. You can see it as you peek out here. You see how right here, you're kind of aiming at her head, but look at where this arrow actually ends up hitting her. You see that? Even if she's standing perfectly still, that at best hits her right in the stomach, right? And then you don't make any real significant adjustments, and it ends up, even though it looks like it hits her in the head, it's actually still pretty low. It ends up hitting her in the chest. Yeah, and then unfortunately we mess up. You would benefit a lot from better cover usage, from not the pre-firing the Sonic, and slightly better crosshair placement. Let's keep going. Pre-fire Sonic here is fine. Line up some shots, make sure that you know where they, I mean, you know they're not going to be on the flank here. But the next Sonic, I want you to know or thinking about. That was good. That was really good. That was great. Again, does this Sonic help you? Don't just use it. Does this Sonic help you? Are you using this to line up shots in the corner? Doesn't really look like it. They're just spamming out in the open. So then don't even use your Sonic, or use your Sonic here to give you information on whether you can or should take that flank, or if anybody else is taking that flank. Good. I just think you're still too low. Spam a little bit more of that I need healing crap if we just weren't aware of how low you were. You do get rezzed. You're about the Sonic, aren't you? Oh, no. Looks so far so good. That's a fine Sonic. Oh, we get off a point if I could, just to play it safe. This teams will and can recontest here. And you being here is a little bit risky once you see that they might be trying to touch. There it is. There's the habit, right? Every time that you don't, like you're going into a fight, you automatically cue the Sonic and throw it at the first thing that you see. In fact, it's such a bad habit because you're not even necessarily aiming it to give you information on this choke. No, you just actually throw it like a normal arrow. You end up missing it, and congratulations, you've scouted the saloon. Not the high ground, not the corner choke, not the right flank, but the saloon. So something to keep in mind. Crosshair placement again is like really low. So if we go back even to when you use the Sonic, right? Let's watch this at this point. You see where this crosshair is aimed? You end up aiming it at Moira head height, but then you shoot it at Sigma, but it's at his torso level. So that's bad. And then obviously the Mei situation, right? So we Storm Arrow to break the wall, fine. But then watch, she's in ice block, and your crosshair's aiming at her shoulder. Look at how low your crosshair is as soon as she walks up the block. Bam. Look at this crosshair. Even without the jump, it's going to hit her in the stomach. And she actually jumps over your arrow. I mean, that's crazy, right? I mean, it's funny. It's definitely a funny moment, but at the same time, it's a really damning commentary on your crosshair placement. And then you kind of get juked here. You jump over the Mei. I mean, this is hilarious. Let's just watch this in slow motion here, guys. So the Mei jumps over your arrow, and then you jump over her. Watch. You see this? And then you lose her as a result. That's just classic Overwatch. Storm Arrow. Dead. Crosshair placement hitting Moira in the butt. Again, crosshair. I mean, even this, like, even when you get a chance to induct, your crosshair placement's still a little low. Check this out. You see this? This would, I don't even know if this would headshot. Oh, maybe this would headshot the Moira. Yeah, that one was, you made a slight adjustment there, so that was okay. Dragon is probably fine. Does clear some space. A little bit standing in the open though, so if we wanted to make this play a little bit better, would prefer you to not be here, but instead to hold the angle here, or swing out to cover here. So again, a lack of cover. You lunge out, good. Take the high ground, good. Probably would have preferred an inducted shot in the Storm Arrow here. So start to induct a shot, peek, launch the shot, then animation cancel that one into a Storm Arrow, because that's an animation cancel, right? Inducted shot to Storm Arrow. Use your Sonic if you need to. Ooh, be careful. Okay. Again, the Sonic misses. Like, the intention of that Sonic was actually pretty reasonable, but you just missed it. Alright. Sonic here before you go up, please. Ooh, no. You have Sonic for a reason. You do, again, remember, it's a skill play. You have to be better than the enemy person with your cooldown usage, with your mechanics. You don't even Sonic before you go. Maybe you thought that would give away the fact that you're going, but it's important. It's important. He's gonna know you're coming anyway because you're taking the elevator. And then what happens afterwards is then you just Sonic just because the button is being pressed, right? You just Sonic nothing, and then you're standing in the open, and then your team has died, and then... Okay, let's keep going. Probably not worth using Sonic... Probably not worth using Storm Mirror, but do you see the pre-Sonic? Pre-Sonic. I'm not going to be elaborating on why that's bad anymore, but I'm going to point it out every time I see it. Pre-Sonic, pre-Sonic, pre-Sonic. Again, would have been nice to have Sonic here, no? You know he's here, so before you take the duel, please Sonic. When you have the information that you need to make a good Sonic decision, like whether it's like, okay, I see these guys, but this flank is dangerous, or I know she's there, I'm going to Sonic that so I can take the duel, then please use the Sonic. This Sonic doesn't help, right? But you know what you could do? You could Sonic that door right now. Whoops, what happens here? Classic. Again, why Sonic that? You see that? A lot of your Sonics are just autopilot. You're using the ability, but autopiloted. And then if I want to nitpick positioning too, especially once you get this kill here, I really don't want you on the floor here. I like the cover, but I would love for you to be up here or up here instead. Give you a little bit more cover, better sightline, more space between you and the Zarya, you and the Reaper. A little bit less of a concern. Nice shots though. Crosshair placement's too low. Check it. Look at your crosshair turning his corner. You see it? Stomach height. Storm Arrow. Still, like, just not even quite head height, right? A little bit too low. You see that? You see the Widow shoot. You Sonic as a result. You end up missing and not seeing where she is. But that at least, this at least has logic behind it, right? It's much better. I might consider taking top right here. Good. You see somebody, you Sonic them. Okay, she's dead, so that storm was a waste. Be very careful about that dragon, obviously, when the Widow's there. Get off of cart, get off of cart. This is not... Come on. Yeah, get rid of this, right? Like, if you want to push here, push and take an angle here. Push and take an angle here. Maybe even flank around and surprise this guy, right? Don't walk on the cart. Don't walk out in the cart and standing out in the open. Too easy to kill you. Oh, you get so lucky. Oh, man. That's tough. And then you were dead because you were standing way too close in the middle of nowhere. Okay, let's keep going. Soy Boy Gamer Omega Coomer. Big ol' scum. I mean, these are some names. So this is kind of funny because you mess up your Storm Arrow. But I have a feeling because you mess up your Storm Arrow, you're actually going to get your Sonic right. Because you get the information that you need. Now you can Sonic this. Honestly, you didn't even need to peek the Widow to Sonic it. You could have just Sonic like right here. And now your Sonic is going to get value, right? There she goes. She's out. Right? Imagine, I promise you, if this is you in any other circumstance, you're going to have your pre-Sonic out, right? And you just like launch your Sonic like either here or wherever else, and then you end up not being able to contest the Widow. Good. Now don't get sloppy. Good crosshair placement, maybe a little low, but it feels like we're at least trying. Don't frontline here. You can drag in here. You Sonic the corner at point blank range and drag. You're getting a little. You're doing the black plat magnet. What I always talk about, where when you get an advantage, instead of pushing on an angle or deepening your angle, you W key directly at the tank, and that causes issues. Be careful with that. That and just simple cover usage are by far your biggest issue. Sonic. Oh, Sonic that, please. Sonic that, please. Sonic that, please. Yeah, so you're egoing this. So here's how you play this duel. You Sonic. First off, let's take a look at your shots. I think you pulled that one a little too far to the left. It hits the box. Yeah, hits the box. All right. Now, as soon as she's pre-scoped on you, again, that's going to hit the box. So I would not ego this. At the very least, I would crouch here, because look at where her crosshair is placed. At the very least, if you crouch as soon as you release the shot, then here crosshair will be off. So she had sights on you, so it was actually a pretty even duel. The difference between you and her, though, is that her shot is instantaneous, yours is not. And then also... she can one-shot body shot you at the HP that you're at, whereas you would need to headshot her. Okay, let's keep going. Classic. I think this crosshair placement was again a little low. Yeah, you could kind of see, even with storm arrows increased movement speed, you're aiming at like their torso. A lot of Hanzo is like, I wouldn't say RNG, but like rolling the dice, right? So what you need to do is you need to load the dice. You need to make it increase the odds that whatever shot that does hit that actually does something, right? That storm is pretty much wasted. Yeah, and then you end up getting sucked in front line. I think at this point, I would love for you to be peeking more angles here. This is a pretty good angle you can kind of do some jump shots on. You could also consider playing the high ground here. Peeking this kind of like using this wall as cover and this floor as cover for a better off angle. Avoids like random crap. You can also shoot over Maywall a little bit. Yeah. I mean, I don't think you did too badly here, but positioning micro could definitely be a little bit cleaner. Crosshair placement, all that jazz. Okay. Omega Coomer has fallen. Okay, that's it. Let's keep going. Little Storm, little Sonic, no Sombra. Good. It might be worth in these circumstances to kind of take this high ground here for a better angle, because you're eating a lot of spam at that choke. That might help your team get out of this choke. Be careful, be careful, be careful. Given what you've seen, you know what you're going to Sonic. No, you just saw the Hanzo peek here. Like, if anything, Sonic here, right? You just saw him peek there, right? Makes the most sense. So maybe that's a skill that you can work at. So, like, we'll talk about how we can build these skills, I guess, in a second, but we'll elaborate there later. Knowing what you see now, Sonic this corner right here, maybe take a flank. High risk, high reward, but, okay, there you go. At least makes sense. Your risk is going to make, there you go. Keep your distance. Don't get sucked in. Don't get sucked in. You're out in the middle of the open. Oh my goodness. Just good enough. Alright, given what you see now, what are you going to Sonic? Who are you going to call? Who are you going to call? Right? But you just throw it, right? It doesn't provide any help at all. Throw it back here. Throw it right here. Right? Give it on some sort of periphery. You threw it right at the Sigma. And then now you don't have it for the shot that you want to hit. Right there, there's your Sonic opportunity. Okay, this fight's lost. Okay, so let's talk about actionable ways to improve this. Number one thing I would improve on, number one, is try to practice the habit of scout, initial setup, and then use Sonic based off of what you see to give you information. So just practice the habit of, I see something, then I Sonic. I see something, then I Sonic. I see something, then I Sonic. It could be the team setup, it could be where your team is pushing, it could be an off angle that you're concerned about, a duel that you're concerned about. Don't just don't do the pre-Sonic. I want to break the pre-Sonic habit. Break the pre-Sonic habit by instead having a pre-Sonic scout habit, where before I Sonic, I'm going to look for what I need to Sonic, all right? I know it sounds backwards, but you'll understand once you practice it. Crosshair placement is another thing you can go into a game and literally just only focus on your crosshair placement. Definitely a lot harder to practice in these like close range firefights, like for example that May at point blank range. But you can practice it on these initial peaks. So when you're peeking around the corner, hey, does my crosshair placement make sense? And a lot of mechanics like that are a little bit more difficult to practice, but especially for the first shot or two, it's not so much practice, so much as just like putting your crosshair where you want it to be. And that's something that even if you have terrible aim, you can put your crosshair where it needs to be. You can practice that habit. And then you build that muscle memory. Again, don't love the term, but it works. Build that quote unquote muscle memory into your habits, and it will feel a lot better. You'll be able to do the things that you need to do more consistently. Last thing I would say is, and certainly not least, is the cover usage getting a little bit too close. I think both of those two things were major concerns, contribute a lot to really unnecessary deaths, and just you being put under a lot of pressure. Keep your distance a little bit. You can get up and close and personal on DPS and duels on surprise flanks, but have a reason for it. I think that's the key thing. It's not just always play far away from Hanzo, but have a reason for you being out in the open. If you need to briefly, okay. If you need to get up and close to personal, okay. But have a reason for the positioning decisions that you're making. The key thing is to never ever autopilot. Oh, I'm just kind of playing the game and running around, floating around like a crazy ninja. Now, like, have a specific reason for you pushing it, right? Have a specific reason for taking that angle. But yeah, hope that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll chat with you later. See ya.